Hello, everybody. Welcome back. So, we are still working on this workshop and we have gotten a lot done. It's crazy. It's crazy to think about where we started versus where we are now. Just like a few months ago, I think honestly, like 2 months ago, nothing was here. Like, we literally had nothing here. And now we got all this. Like, we got our floor, we got our walls, we got this flooring on, we got our sheathing on, we got our roof, we got our skylights, we got our membrane. Like, we have gotten so much done. It takes a while. Like, it's very difficult for Lena and I at times because we work full time. We do this on the weekends and at night. It gets hard, especially during the summer when it's super hot, to get out here and to be motivated to do this work. But, it's really rewarding to see that we make so much progress and we're really getting through all of this. So, what we're going to be doing now in this week is actually working on our roof. I installed the membrane on the roof a while ago. It's only good for like up to 3 months of exposure, so I got to get this roof on. And it's going to take me a little while, and there's definitely going to be a learning curve. So, figured might as well get started. This week, I'm actually off all week. I'm actually forced to take some time off of work because I have way too much time, like booked up or built up. So I got to use my time. So I figured I should take that time this week and work on this roof because it is going to take a while and it is going to be something where I need to be really consistent and work like all day long on it. So that's pretty hard to do on nights and weekends. So we're going to work on that this week. So, this roof, I haven't actually talked a ton about what we're doing here. And honestly, as I think about this roof, it's literally insane what we're going to do. It's like crazy. We are going to be installing a slate roof. So, this is a roof slate. This is one of the ones we're going to be installing not on the side with the skylight, but on the other side that's visible to all of my neighbors. We're going to be installing solid slates over there. Long story. But anyway, we are going to be installing a slate roof. You don't really see slate roofs in the US. They're really common in Europe, they're really common in the UK, and they're really common in super old buildings like in the French Quarter. In Savannah, you see a lot of slate roofs where you got buildings from like the 1700s. You see it in New England. Actually, last week, Lena and I were in Maine on vacation, and we saw a lot of slate roofs. It was really cool. It was cool to see slate roofs in the wild. It's also cool for us to go to the French Quarter and see slate roofs in the wild. It's really encouraging to see that, like to realize I'm not totally crazy and that people actually do this. So yeah, we're gonna be installing these things. These are actually recycled slates. All of the slates we have are recycled slates. These actually came from a building in the French Quarter, and then we got another pile of slates that also came from a building in the French Quarter. And then we also have another pile of slates that came from a building in Algiers Point, where they were just chilling in someone's garage. So we got a lot of slates here. We have more than enough to do this roof, and for the most part, we've gotten good deals on these. These first set of slates I bought for $1 a piece. I thought that was a good price at the time, but as soon as I started doing math, I realized it actually wasn't that great of a deal, and I overpaid for them, I think. But that's okay. We paid $1 per slate for those, and then we went to someone else's house and got another pile of slate. We paid $300 for like 1,100 pieces of slate. So that was good because that brought the average price down. And then the third pile of slate that came out of Algiers Point actually was free. It was free on Craigslist. It was just sitting in someone's garage. I would estimate we maybe got 600 pieces there for free. Maybe 80% of them are usable. So, bringing the average cost down. But yeah, we are going to be installing slates. It's really cool. It's really encouraging. These things can last a really long time. And it really makes me excited, even though I'm like totally overpaying for all of this. Like, I'm definitely spending more than I would if I just put like a metal roof on this. It's just what I want to do, honestly. Like, I really want to try this out. I want to see how it goes. I have a dream of one day putting a slate roof on our actual house once we get it paid off because a slate roof will last like over 100 years. And that's awesome. That's awesome to think about building a roof that will outlive me and, thinking about those future generations that will be really thankful like we put the work in here and look, we don't have to replace this in a few years. This is not a throwaway material. This is a material that will last a long time. It's natural material. And also, you can recycle it. Like, you can turn the stuff into gravel at the end of its life, or you could just take the slates off and somebody else can use them, which is what we're doing here. So I also haven't talked about how we're going to install these. We're going to install these in the British way, not necessarily in the American way that we typically do slates. In America, we typically nail them straight down. In the UK, people put them on like a grid or batten system. You'll see what I'm talking about, but just know that there's going to be a ventilation gap below them so that any heat from the roof can dissipate out the vents, and any water that possibly leaks will just drip right on out and not get into our decking or inside of the building. It's also cool to do them on a grid system or on a batten system because that has less holes in the roof, and that's really cool. Like I've been wanting to do battens even if I did a metal roof. I was going to do a ventilated roof system, so doing it with slates and seeing that people actually do this every day in the UK, it's really cool. It's cool that I can have like all of that reference material. I can like watch a bunch of people on YouTube DIYing this, so I know it's possible and I'm not crazy, even though in the US this is like a super specialized thing. But yeah, that's what we're going to be doing today. We're going to be installing slates. So let's go ahead and get started on putting our batten system. I got to lay them all out, and then from there we can start installing slates. So yeah, let's start measuring and get our battens up. So what you need to know about battens is that a batten is just something that holds the roof up from the roof deck or from the structure. So we're going to be installing a ton of these furring strips. These are going to be our counter-battens that are going to run up and down. And then we're going to have thicker pieces, like here, that are going to go across the whole roof. So these are all going to go across, and then our slates are going to be put right on top of these guys. And it's going to be this grid system that has a ventilation gap on the bottom here, so that any water that gets in will just drip straight out, and air can move all the way to the top of the roof so that, you know, it gets hot. Like slate roofs get hot, they're sunny. It will allow the roof to have ventilation and will also extend the life and cool the building a little bit, as opposed to just having that sun blasting on the roof, which is what happens right now. It's super hot in there. So yeah, that's what we're going to be doing with these battens. Our first step is actually lay out all of our counter battens. These are going to go vertically on the roof, and I'm going to put these everywhere where there's currently a roof rafter or a ceiling rafter, whatever you want to call it. Wherever there's a rafter, we're going to put these. They're 2 feet on centers, so it makes it super easy. We just got to screw them down to the wood that's already there. So yeah, let me get my pile and start marking things out, and we can get up on the roof and get them installed. Okay, so our first order of business before we actually get any battens on is that we need to mark out where all of the battens are going to start and also where they're going to run. So you can maybe see, actually I'm sitting right on top of it, there is a rafter right down here. There's rafters all along. That's how this roof is held up. So we're going to be putting our battens right on top of these rafters. And I want to put them back a little bit. I think I'm going to space them back maybe 1.5 inches so that I have room for my ventilation screen. I'm using some ventilation that you typically use, some like vent channels that you typically use for siding. So it should work pretty well. Just got to make sure I space it right. But yeah, let's get to marking. Now that I've finished that, what do I do now? Guess I should clean this roof off. I'll do that. That makes sense. Okay, that's now much cleaner. I needed to clean this because we're under a giant pecan tree, and squirrels love to just drop pecan shells straight on top of this, and they just kind of get stuck. So I needed to clean it all off. That's where all that debris came from. You can tell that we're getting into the fall because the pecans are dropping like crazy now. And wow. Just noticed that the roof that the camera's on actually has my neighbor's dog's ball up there. I don't know how that ball possibly got on the roof, but I'll give that back to him later. I think our next step for this is to figure out the run of these rafters. It's kind of hard to tell. I can kind of eyeball it, but I don't want to put any extra holes in my roof. So I'm actually going to get a magnet, and that'll tell me exactly where I nailed the sheathing down, and that'll tell me exactly where the rafters are. So let me go get a magnet, and then we can mark the runs and snap some chalk lines and keep on moving. I think. Yeah, I think that'll work out. Let's do it. All right, finally found my magnet. I don't know where my box of magnets are, but luckily this one was stuck to one of our outdoor chairs for like the last 4 years. So now I'm gonna get use out of it. Let's get to marking. All right, so got all of my counter-battens up here now, right behind me. And I'm gonna start installing them. So maybe I'm a little paranoid. I think that I probably am overly paranoid, but I just don't understand what will stop the water from leaking through the fasteners that hold the counterbattens down. Because these are going to be installed up and down, kind of like you see them now. And the water will run down the roof. And these things are going to be like screwed or nailed down. But in theory, water could get under them. And water could drip through those fasteners, through the holes created by the screws or nails. And I don't like that. I don't like that idea at all. I hope I don't regret this. We'll see. We'll see if I regret this or not. But I'm actually going to cover the bottom of them with a composite roofing tar. Some tar that I used around the skylights just to seal them up. Had some left. So I'm going to do that. And hopefully they don't leak. I'm pretty confident they won't leak, but I'm just actually more concerned I'm going to create a giant mess. But I'll worry about that later. So let's tar them up and get these battens on. Well, that's not good. There you go. Well, there goes the power. Yeah, it's the transformer blew up. Yep. All right, so the power's out. That sound is my neighbor's extremely annoying generator. I'll give it to her. My neighbor is like in her late 80s, so maybe she is one of those people that could not survive without air conditioning. But man, this thing sucks. I really, really, really hate this generator, and I hate how loud it is, especially when the power goes out. So what happened is that like 3 weeks ago, I had a coworker in town, and we were standing out on the street, and we were talking, and then suddenly a delivery truck hit a cable line and a power line. It like hit a conductor and a cable, and like a cable wire, and ripped them off of the light pole. So it didn't actually knock out the power like 3 weeks ago. It ripped the cable line down, and then the cable company had to come out and fix it. Also, the power company had to come out because that truck literally ripped one of my neighbor's power cables out of their house, like literally off of the house. And they came back, they fixed it. They didn't really replace a lot of the wires. It's like a really big mess of wires out on the street. And yeah, I don't know what just happened, but I was just up here working, and then suddenly I just hear transformers exploding like around us. It was a cascading failure where like you hear one blow, and I saw it like light up around the street corner, and then the one in front of my house, the one like further down the street, the one further down the street, the one on the next block. Like I just hear all of the transformers exploding one by one by one. So yeah, power company's out here now. Thankfully, I don't actually need power for what I'm doing. It would have actually been a really good day to be at work today, honestly, because I would have gotten the day off since I didn't have power. But anyway, no big deal. I'm going to keep on moving here, even though it's super loud, and I'll just work quietly because it's probably super annoying to listen to me right now. Hey everybody. So I will admit that yesterday I got super tired. This is really hard work. It's definitely not easy. And I just finished out the rest of the counter-battens yesterday, just off camera. I also finished out putting the fascia on the backside, just off camera. I was exhausted, and I just had to do it. So I'm done with all of that. It's now time to actually put up the battens. The battens are the ones that run horizontally that the slates will actually be nailed to, or will be attached to, nailed. So that's the ones that run horizontally, and those will just go straight on top of those counterbattens. This should hopefully be a lot easier. I just have to put a lot of them up. I'm actually going to put one every 5 inches all the way up the roof, so it's going to be a lot of wood. But yeah, let me get up on the roof and we can work on putting our battens up. We got to start with a treated cant strip in the front, and then it'll just be the small little battens moving forward. So yeah, let's get up there and let's get to work. All right, got the cant strip on. There's literally a squirrel right above me, dropping acorn shells on my head. Like this. It's literally raining acorn shells right now. They're so wet. They smell fresh. Okay, but yeah, got my cant strip on. I'm afraid it's a little too big, honestly. TBD. I am doing everything here to learn, just learning as I go, so I don't really know. It may be too big. Maybe I screwed up. I don't know. It's fine. Nobody really sees this side of the roof anyway, so yeah, just test it out and see what happens here. But my next step is actually to put all of my battens on. I'm just going to have to figure it out as I go. The first one definitely butts up straight against this cant strip, and then everything else is going to have to be spaced in some way. I'm not clear on how quite yet, but I'm going to figure that out after I get my first strip on. So let's get my first batten on and take it from there. Just trying to figure out what I'm doing here, because this is like a mystery to me. I'm figuring it out as I go. Especially since my slates are super irregular in size. This side of the roof is going to be smaller slates, like 12-inch tall slates. The other side's going to be 16, so I'm going to have to redo all of this on the other side, figure it all out again. And also, the spacing's different, those tiles are bigger. It's a giant mess. I think this is good. I think I know what I'm doing. I think. So I'm going to try to keep going. Yeah, I'm just going to keep going. So now that I know that my first hook goes here, my hooks are spaced 5 inches apart, at least on this side of the roof, based on the spacing of all of the tiles. So, gosh, that squirrel's still going crazy, dropping pecans all over the place. So, 5 inches from there is actually right here. 10 minus 1.25, so it's 8 3/4. 8 3/4, and then that means that my next guy's gonna go like over here. The pattern has revealed itself to me now. It makes sense. I think I understand. So what I can do is I can actually go all the way to the corners, to the edges, and I can mark out everything in pencil, and then I can just snap my chalk lines all the way across. And then I should be able to just run all of my battens really fast, super fast, warp speed. I know it's not going to be like that at all. It's going to be a really slow process, but anyway, gotta enjoy the little things right now. Enjoy the things where I can actually shut off my brain for a little bit. I know what I'm doing, so let's get to marking and putting chalk lines down so that I can just get this whole side done. I don't know if y'all are aware, but whenever you're in the iPhone calculator app, you can repeat a function. For example, this is 8.75 plus 5. If you want to add plus 5 to that, you just click enter. And it just keeps repeating the same function over and over again. That's how I'm doing this repetitive math really fast without having to like think about it. Just a small hack. The iPhone calculator actually has a lot of little small tricks that you may not know. I actually am still learning all of the stuff you can do with it, but pretty crazy. I got both sides marked, both left and right side. Now I can start snapping my chalk lines, but I actually thought about it. This is a regular 5-inch spacing, and my battens are 1x3s, which are nominally 0.75 by 2.5 inches. So I kind of realized, like, if my spacing is 5 inches and my wood, the width is 2.5, I can just actually space with a block and not have to go all the way across. Because I'm alone now. Lena actually went out of town, so I'm alone. Also, Lena would never get on a roof. That's the other thing. But I'm alone now, so I would have to run back and forth every single chalk line I snapped, and that's gonna get time consuming. So I'm just gonna space it with a block. This is close enough for what I'm doing. This is one of those situations where the error will compound. Like if my block is like 2 9/16 or like 2 5/8, the error is gonna get bigger and bigger as time goes on, but that's okay. I can just accommodate this a little bit. This isn't exactly rocket surgery here. So I'm just putting, stones on my roof, just putting rocks up here. Like if I need to adjust here and there because my spacing got off, no big deal. So I'm just gonna snap one chalk line, and then I'm gonna use a block to space all of the rest of the battens. So let me go get my chalk line and we can snap that up. So what I'm gonna do is do my first one to the chalk line, and then I'm gonna space it. Oh, I forgot my block. I cut a block on the table saw. I forgot it down on the ground. I'll have to go get it. Oh. All right. So it's not my first chalk line. Now I went downstairs and I cut my block. This is just a 2.5 inch perfectly cut on the table saw, so I don't have to like worry that maybe my spacer was off because it was just a furring strip or something. Oh man, gotta catch my breath. I realized that this is a 19.5-foot roof, and because I spaced my rafters at 2 feet on centers, that means that I will have 2 clear 8-foot pieces in every single row. So I'm gonna do the 2 clear 8-foot pieces, and then I'm actually gonna come back later and I'm gonna do the ends, and I'll just have to cut some like weird sizes for those. Hopefully my construction was pretty good, and I'm hoping that I was pretty exact. I tried really hard to get everything exact, but I know it's slightly off. So hopefully in the ends I could just do one repetitive cut, but TBD. Yeah, I know that I can at least run through the center, so let's do it. Man, I really wish I could have done this in a different part of the year. It's crazy. Like you start a project, it takes a really long time, and that's just how it goes. But we started this project after Mardi Gras, and who would have guessed that I was doing the roofing in late August? Like, you could not pick a worse time to be outside doing a roof. August of all times. But that's just kind of how it goes with renovations, especially if you're doing a full-time job. Like, it's pretty hard to stage things and schedule things when you have other competing priorities. And sometimes it's just, the worst time of the year to possibly do something like this. And you just got to get it done because that's the way that the schedule falls. If I would do this again, I would really hope to plan this or put it off until like late fall, early winter, maybe even early spring. But, it just is what it is. I still got it all done, but definitely suffered a little bit for it. All right, we're about halfway through this side, and I've noticed that I've drifted off of my mark by about maybe like 1/4 of an inch. So I'm going to course correct now that I'm halfway through, because as I said before, the error compounds and it gets worse and worse and worse. You can actually see it on this side where when I start out, it's like I'm right on the mark, then it's like I'm a 16th, then I'm an 8th, and it just gets bigger and bigger. So let me snap another chalk line. Okay. It's not easy. Like what I'm doing, not easy whatsoever. I'm really feeling it at this point. Um, I'm pretty sure I've only been at this for like 35 minutes. I don't know. I did not look at my watch. I would have to actually look at the footage to know how long I've been doing this. I've been doing it for a little while now. I don't know. At least it's not hot. But the thing is like, it's tough. This is tough. It's not easy. At least I haven't also had to cut a lot. Like, that's another blessing. But man, whew, this takes a toll. I'm coming to terms with the fact that I may not actually get the slate roof on this week. It is Wednesday. It is Wednesday, my dudes. And kind of thought I'd get this done maybe by Friday, like the whole roof. Maybe Saturday is like some wiggle room. Take it easy on Sunday. I'm coming to terms with the fact that I may not finish it at all, even on Sunday. IDK, I don't really know. But one thing that I do know is that while all of this battening does suck, this battening is for a few reasons. Number one, the whole reason I'm doing this roof is because I want to put a slate roof on the house. I know that it's a pipe dream. Totally get it. It's totally a pipe dream. I totally understand. But after the house is paid off, I would love to put a slate roof on the actual house. And that's because it will literally last the rest of our lifetime. And that's cool. I also like the vibe. I like the fact that it's long lasting. I like the fact that it's natural. I like the fact that it's not just a byproduct of the oil industry. I think it's really cool. I think it's cool that you could put something on a house and it could last that long. Like, that's crazy to think about. And I'm also testing out the slate hooks because I have my suspicions that the slate hooks have better uplift. I want to actually see how this roof fares in a hurricane. We'll see. We'll see what happens. I also like that it's repairable. That's cool. But one of the main reasons is why I'm doing these battens is because I want to ventilate this roof. Regardless of what I was going to do for this roof deck, if I did asphalt shingles, if I did metal, if I did slate, or if I did tiles, I also was looking at tile roofs, I was going to put battens down. And what I was thinking is, like, if I do an asphalt shingle, I'll actually put a vent below the battens, and then I'll put decking on top so that I have a ventilation space, so that this roof is ventilated and all of the hot air that hits this roof will just exit. I also was going to do this for a metal roof. I was going to put very similar stuff on here. I was going to do battens on a metal roof exactly like this. Even if it was ag metal or whatever, I was still going to put battens on top so that I had that ventilation space because I've wanted to try this out for a while. Now looking at it, I understand battens suck. They are kind of hard. They're tedious. It takes at least a day to do. It's going to take a while. But the thing is that I was going to do this anyway. Now, I will admit that if I was not going to do the slate roof, I would not have anywhere near as many battens. And that's the thing that's hard to swallow. These slates, these freaking slates that I paid $1 for, these tiny 12-inch slates, suck. I regret buying them. I totally regret them. I got like 36 rows of slates I got to put on this side of the roof. The other side only got like 22. It's literally bananas. But here's the thing. These slates, because they're so small, you need to put more slates, and that means more battens, more rows, and everything else. That sucks. Really, really, really sucks. So, it's whatever. I'm not here to complain. I'm just doing it. I'm just shutting my mind off, putting my boards down, vibing out, and yeah, good talk. I'm glad we could talk about the battens because I wanted to get that off my mind since I've been kind of beating myself up over it and like, man, this kind of sucks. Spending all day doing this, it's hard on your body, this sucks. But actually, it's whatever. It's totally okay. I've talked for long enough. I should go back down, get some more wood, get some more screws, get some water, and get back to work. Hey everybody. So last night I finished up one side of all of the battens for the roof, and it looks pretty good. Like, I'm pretty happy with it. Let me turn the camera around. It is just a bunch of wood. Nothing too crazy, but it's a nice ventilation gap, and walking across it, it feels very sturdy. One thing that I did do is I added just an extra strip of wood under this run right here, and this strip of wood is not nailed to the decking or anything. It's purely to hold all of this down and to reduce the span, because on the end, I don't know, the span was a little big. It was like 30 inches. All of my other spans have been 24 inches. So I noticed whenever I walked on these, they moved a lot. So I just put that under there, and now they feel super sturdy, like more sturdy than the rest. So did that, and the way I've been doing this when I don't want to screw all the way through is I have these, probably hard to see, but I have these 1 1/4 inch screws, because this piece of wood is 3/4 and that piece of wood is 3/4. That totals to 1.5 inches. So 1 1/4 inch screws just means that I'm not going to pierce through this membrane. And I've been doing that along the edges too. This strip on the edge is screwed down to all of the ladder framing, but you know, I didn't want to pierce through on the end because that is actually visible. Like, if you look up from the outside, you could see the screws. So I didn't want to do that. And also, I just, you know, I can only get so close to the edge before I get concerned that it's going to leak. So yeah, that's what I've done so far. Finished one side fully, and now I need to move on to this side. This side, I'm kind of dreading. It's going to be a lot of cutting. Also, it's in direct sunlight, so it's not ideal, but gotta do it. You gotta do it. So I'm going to try to figure out what I'm doing here. I'm going to try to mark it out, stay out of the sun as much as possible, and hopefully the sun will go behind a cloud or something so that I can cool down a little bit, or hopefully it'll go behind a tree soon. I think I probably have maybe about an hour and a half before this area gets shaded, so try to do some light work until then, and then I can do the real heavy stuff once the area cools down. So let me make a game plan here, and then I can start marking, and maybe I'll take a break for lunch. All right, I will update y'all once I figure out what I'm doing. Okay, so took a break, went inside, had some lunch, got some water. I'm nice and relaxed now, cooled down a little bit, and we do actually have a little bit more shade, so I'm really glad that I did take a lunch break when I did. So this side is a little different, but it's still similar in a lot of ways. So I'm going to be using bigger tiles on this side. On the other side, I'm using 12-inch tiles. On this side, I'm using 16-inch tiles. Yeah, 16-inch long tiles. So they're a good bit longer, and they're also a lot wider. The width doesn't really matter. It's the length that matters. So I'm actually going to be able to space my battens a little bit more. I need to double check my notes, but I'm pretty sure the battens on this side will be spaced 6 inches rather than 5 inches on center. So I will be using less battens. Also, I do have these skylights and everything, so I should have to install a whole lot less battens, but there's going to be a lot more tricky cutting because I got to accommodate for the skylights and everything else. I also did some thinking and some self-reflection on this, and I was able to confirm that I can kind of build this one the same way, where my first batten is straight up against this this cant strip, this treated cant strip that's already installed down here. So my first one will be right up against it, and then my second one, I'm gonna have to go measure the tiles and figure out where the nail holes are, because my starter strip will be nailed. So I do that. Like I'll put my first one down, flush against this, I'll space my next one, and then at that point I can start measuring. And I'm also gonna have to measure these over here, these battens that are kind of around the skylights. These don't run the whole length of the roof, because these are really just there to support the slates around the skylights, and I didn't want to put any nail holes around my skylights. Also, I don't necessarily have joists here, or rafters, because my skylights were actually an afterthought. If I had known that I was going to do this, I would have spaced my rafters to accommodate for the skylights, but since I added the skylights later, I purchased them after I literally put the roof on and everything, or the decking and everything else. I gotta just kind of work around it. It's totally cool, it's no big deal, but just gotta accommodate. So yeah, let me go get some more battens so that I can go ahead and get started on my first 2 rows, and then I'll have to figure out what I'm doing after that for all the spacing. All right, so this is my first batten. All right, so I just went and looked at my tiles, did some measurements and did some math, and I figured out that I need to space this board 5.5 inches off of the start. Don't worry about it, it's too much detail. But one thing that is important, I went back inside and checked my notes. These battens are actually going to be spaced 6.5 inches as opposed to 5 inches on the other side. So happy about that. I'm super happy that I'm going to have less battens and less rows to do. So let me mark out 5.5 inches, and then we can get our second row of battens, and then we can start measuring stuff out and popping chalk lines and just going at it. Okay, I feel like I'm kind of avoiding it in some ways. Maybe I am. I don't really know. But, sorry. I'm trying to catch my breath. That was hard. I carried like 10 or 12 furring strips up. I can actually get started now. I've laid out my layout everywhere, and I can just start spacing them. Oh man, I didn't think about that until now. I actually can't space them in the same way. Oh, that's a little frustrating. I can't space them because, I can't space these the same way because they're actually spaced differently. All right, I gotta go cut a block on my table saw, and then I can get going. BRB. All right, after a small intermission, I now have everything that I need to get started. So I'm actually going to start a stopwatch because I'm just a little interested in how long this is gonna take. It's about 3 o'clock right now. So, I don't know. Maybe I can get this done in like hour and a half. We'll see. I don't really even have any concept of how long this took me on the other side. This is also a smaller area, but it does require more cuts, so there's trade-offs. But yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and get started, and starting the clock now. Man, I'm tired. I will not lie. Whew, I'm like exhausted. I thought that I was maybe going to organize my slates now, but I definitely can't. So it has been 2 hours and 53 minutes since I started this side of the roof. It wasn't that bad. It actually went a lot faster than the other side. In reality, I don't actually know if it did, but it felt faster to me. It looks good. I'm really happy about the progress here. I'm just exhausted. After like multiple days of working like this, gosh, it's taken a toll. It's taken a serious toll. We'll see if I put any slates on the roof tomorrow. I don't know. I plan to, but I am very tired at this point. So, I think I'm just going to pick stuff up, clean up a little bit. I don't know. I may go get some dinner somewhere because I'm really hungry and I'm really tired and I do not feel like cooking or eating leftovers. That's what being in the sun does to you. It'll take it out of you. Well, I'm glad that I got this side done. So, we'll see what happens tomorrow. We'll see what the future holds. I'll see y'all then. This literally feels like I'm laying on bed slats, like the IKEA bed slats, because they don't have a box spring, they just have the wooden slats. I actually laid on top of mine whenever I moved into my first apartment in Atlanta, and just wanted to know what it was like. I wanted to know if it was actually like bouncy or whatever. And this is exactly what it feels like.